The story of Flash begins with Barry Allen trying to adjust his life after resetting timelines in the first movie. He feels the burden of his choices, realizing that every action in the Speed Force creates ripples that affect countless lives. Though his mother is gone once again, Barry clings to his role as Central City's protector, pushing himself harder than ever. But deep inside, guilt keeps haunting him, whispering that time is never stable when he's involved. His loneliness grows, and he begins to question whether being a hero is worth all the sacrifices one night Central City experiences an unexplained surge of energy that disrupts everything from power grids to natural forces. Barry senses that something within the Speed Force itself has been disturbed. When he runs to investigate, he sees terrifying distortions in time, echoes of possible futures colliding. Among these visions, he briefly sees himself, older and broken, standing beside a dark figure who radiates the same speed energy. This shakes him to his core, making him wonder if he is doomed to become his own enemy. At STAR Labs, Barry consults with Iris and Cisco, who have been studying the anomalies. Cisco warns that the disturbances feel like someone else's, tapping into the Speed Force, but not playing by its rules. The team realizes they're not dealing with just a villain from Earth, but possibly another speedster from a fractured timeline. Iris urges Barry not to keep secrets from her, reminding him that his silence often leads to disaster. Barry promises to share everything, though he's scared of revealing what he saw. While trying to investigate, Barry encounters a mysterious figure dressed in black who moves almost as fast as him, but with far more aggression. Their clash sends shockwaves that tear apart part of the city street, leaving citizens in panic. The figure disappears as quickly as he appeared, but not before whispering to Barry, "You don't deserve this power." This encounter leaves Barry shaken because the voice sounded disturbingly familiar. He begins to wonder if this dark speedster is somehow connected to his own past mistakes. Iris digs into old archives and finds reports of another Flash-like figure appearing sporadically after Barry reset the timeline. The pattern suggests the entity has been stalking Barry, feeding off the unstable cracks in time. Cisco theorizes that this enemy could be a time remnant, a version of Barry that survived when the multiverse collapsed. Barry refuses to believe it at first, terrified of the idea that his worst enemy might actually be himself. Still, he can't shake the eerie familiarity he felt. Meanwhile, Barry's life outside of the costume continues to unravel. His job suffers as he misses deadlines, and Iris feels the strain of his obsession with the Speed Force mystery. She pleads with him to slow down and trust that together they can handle whatever comes. But Barry, stubborn and guilt-ridden, isolates himself further. He runs through nights, searching for answers in the Speed Force, but all he finds are echoes of broken futures. His fear grows stronger that he's creating the very monster he dreads. The Dark Speedster, who begins calling himself Cobalt Blue, finally reveals his face to Barry during a violent showdown. To Barry's horror, the man looks exactly like him, but colder, twisted, and filled with hatred. Cobalt Blue declares that he is a remnant left behind when Barry tried to fix the timeline. Abandoned and forgotten, he has one mission: to take back the life Barry stole and prove that only he deserves to be the true Flash. This revelation shatters Barry's confidence and makes the battle personal. Barry confides in Iris, finally admitting the truth about Cobalt Blue's identity. Iris pushes him to understand that his empathy, not just his speed, makes him different. She reminds Barry that running away from pain has always been his weakness, and that facing it might be the only way to save both their worlds. For the first time, Barry realizes that this fight isn't about defeating an enemy. It's about confronting the parts of himself he has always feared. He vows to stop Cobalt, not just to protect Central City, but to heal himself. Cobalt Blue begins wreaking havoc across timelines, creating rifts that threaten multiple realities. Entire cities flicker in and out of existence, while echoes of alternate heroes and villains appear briefly before vanishing. Barry chases him across dimensions, each race testing his speed and willpower. During one chase, Barry stumbles into a timeline where his mother is still alive, and for a moment, he feels tempted to stay. But he remembers Iris's words and resists, choosing to keep running toward his true mission. As the stakes rise, Barry seeks guidance from the Speed Force itself. In a surreal encounter, he sees visions of past speedsters, including his father's image, urging him to accept that pain is part of growth. The Speed Force warns Barry that killing Cobalt Blue would only strengthen the timeline fractures. Instead, he must find a way to absorb and heal the remnant. Barry doubts himself, but realizes he cannot simply rely on speed. He needs wisdom and heart to finish this battle. Cobalt Blue attacks STAR Labs directly, injuring Cisco and nearly killing Iris in a brutal confrontation. Barry arrives just in time, but Cobalt taunts him, saying that Iris will eventually suffer because of Barry's choices, no matter what he does. This infuriates Barry, who unleashes his full power for the first time, creating a storm of lightning that forces Cobalt to retreat. Still, Barry knows that brute strength won't be enough. He has to find a solution that ends this cycle forever. Determined, Barry begins training harder, pushing himself to run beyond limits he thought were impossible. He discovers a new ability to phase not just through matter, but through fractured moments in time, briefly glimpsing possible futures. This power is dangerous and draining, but it may be the key to stopping Cobalt Blue. Iris helps him focus, reminding him of who he is, anchoring him when the endless possibilities threaten to overwhelm his mind. Barry finally feels a renewed sense of purpose. The final confrontation takes place in a collapsing timeline where Central City is being torn apart by unstable energy. Barry and Cobalt Blue face off in a race that stretches through broken realities, each trying to outpace the other. As they run, fragments of Barry's life flash before him: his mother's smile, his father's voice, Iris's love, and all the sacrifices he's made. Cobalt, however, clings only to bitterness and rage. Their clash becomes a battle of values as much as speed. At the climax, Barry stops running and instead reaches out to Cobalt Blue. He offers forgiveness, telling him that they are the same person but shaped by different choices. Cobalt, furious, tries to kill him, but Barry uses his new power to merge with him instead of destroying him. The painful fusion nearly rips Barry apart, but he manages to absorb Cobalt's rage into himself, stabilizing the Speed Force. The timelines begin to heal, though Barry collapses from exhaustion. When Barry wakes, Iris is by his side, relieved but worried about the toll the battle took on him. Barry admits that he still feels the darkness of Cobalt inside him, but he believes he can carry it without letting it consume him. He promises Iris that he will no longer run from his pain, but face it with her by his side. This moment feels like a rebirth for Barry, giving him new strength to carry on. As the flash dot in the aftermath, Central City slowly returns to normal, but Barry notices subtle changes in people and places. Small details are different, reminders that the timeline is never exactly the same after being broken. Instead of fearing this, Barry accepts it as part of his reality. He knows the world will never be perfect, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't fight to protect it. For once, he feels at peace with the weight of being the flash dot as he rebuilds his life. Barry works on repairing his relationships. He spends more time with Iris, finally giving her the attention she deserves, and helps Cisco recover from his injuries. Together, the team at STAR Labs reflects on how much they've endured. Barry even takes on mentoring a new young speedster who has begun showing signs of connection to the Speed Force. This makes him realize that being the Flash is about legacy as much as heroism. Yet in the shadows, a new threat brews, unknown to Barry. Fragments of the Speed Force corrupted by the battles have begun manifesting elsewhere. A strange lightning storm emerges far from Central City, birthing another mysterious figure. This hints that while Barry may have healed his remnant, the multiverse still has scars that are far from healed. The story closes with Barry standing tall on a rooftop, determined to face whatever comes next, but aware that his journey is far from over. The movie ends on a hopeful yet bittersweet note, showing Barry running once again through the city lights. His narration reflects on the fact that speed is both a gift and a curse, but also a reminder of life's fleeting nature. He embraces the responsibility of the Flash, not just as a hero, but as someone who has finally learned to accept himself. With Iris watching proudly from below, Barry disappears into a streak of lightning, carrying the promise of more battles, more hope, and more stories yet to be told.